Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Okay guys, welcome back for video 2, and today is Tuesday, November 19th, and it is 10:02 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's jump over here so you're not having to look at that infinity screen. And I do want to thank a few people here before we get started. So if you're adverse to chatting, just fast forward a few minutes or well, it probably will be a few minutes. All right. First of all, I want to thank coffee donors. Mika from BC, that is British Columbia, and she wants me to buy a new mouse. Well, Mika, I would love to buy a new mouse, but I don't have a mouse. I've got a laptop, and so what you're hearing is my hands on the keys. I have put a foam underneath my microphone so that hopefully you can't hear it as much, but I may be getting a microphone that kind of hangs so that it'll be less noticeable and probably a lot clearer. Anyway, also, so thank you for your donation, Mika, and also Driver. I don't know where they're from, just Driver. I thought that was an interesting name. Like really, probably a nickname or a, avatar name. I don't know. Anyway, thank you, Driver, for your donation. And excuse me, my voice. I've already done a show, and so my voice is trying to quit on me. But I've got plenty of warm tea to soothe the savage beast. Okay, now Patreon. I've got 2 new Patreon subscribers, Susan Alvarez and Cheryl Andrews. Thank you guys. And I appreciate that support. And also by snail mail, and it's always fun for me to get snail mail. Pam J from California, she sent a sweet card, and she is trying to get out of California and sell her house. So please remember her in your prayers if you're a believer. It's always a pleasure for me to hear from Pam, and she's snail mailed me several letters over the last probably year. And anyway, she was saying that she's trying to get out of California and trying to sell her house because of, well, we know. So anyway, if you could remember her in your prayers, I would appreciate that, and I'm sure she would as well. And also, Brenda Z, I got something in the mail from her. She's from Colorado Springs. She sent a wonderful letter and donation, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And then Cynthia J from Jupiter, Florida, she sent a card, treats for my boys, and a necklace. Now, she sent Blue Buffalo. Apparently, she works for Blue Buffalo, and they absolutely loved the treats you sent, Cynthia. They loved them. So I know a store that sells Blue Buffalo, so I'm going to have to purchase some because they absolutely gobbled them up. So anyway, and she sent this necklace, which is beautiful. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's stones. There are little blue stones. I'm not sure what they are, but I'd love to know. If you know, Cynthia, could you put it in the comments or send me an email or something, because I'm really into these kind of stones. I love them. I absolutely love them. So I will wear that, and thank you very, very much. Appreciated very, very much, all of you. And let's get right into the news. We're going to pick up from where we left off in the last video, and let's start here because, well, it's as good a place to start as any. Now, the Assange rape case has been dropped. Sweden abandons probe that led to WikiLeaks co-founder's asylum in UK's Ecuadorian embassy. Now, this is from today, so this is fresh news, and I like my news fresh. I don't know about you, but I do. Swedish prosecutors will not pursue their rape investigation of WikiLeaks co-founder Julian Assange any further, they announced, having successfully fulfilled their role in the years-long scheme to put Assange behind bars. Investigators determined the evidence was simply not strong enough to support an indictment. Deputy Chief Prosecutor Eva Marie Persson told a press conference on Tuesday, interviewing Julian Assange regarding the case would not change this assessment, she said. The reason for this decision is that the evidence has weakened considerably due to the long period of time that has elapsed since the events in question. The prosecution authority noted that while the victim was considered credible, oral testimony regarding the case has weakened and that corroborating evidence was not strong enough to pursue the case. Assange is currently being held in a UK prison. In May, he received a 50-week sentence on a 7-year-old bail jumping charge stemming from his decision to leave Sweden with authorities' permission, which was later rescinded during the rape investigation. A Swedish arrest warrant was first issued in 2010 after he left the country. When a UK court upheld a decision to extradite him to Sweden in 2012, he sought refuge in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he lived for 7 years. He is fighting in court to avoid extradition to the United States, where he faces espionage and hacking charges that could put him away for the rest of his life, and is suffering from severe health problems that have drawn international concern over his treatment. Swedish authorities reopened the rape investigation following his arrest at the Ecuadorian embassy in April. And it says, Assange may die in jail for revealing war crimes, his father warns after seeing him behind bars. The prosecution authority said that its decision could be appealed. So anyway, Kristen Hrafnsson, editor-in-chief of WikiLeaks, said that the focus should now move on to the threat that Assange has been warning about for years, the belligerent prosecution of the United States, and the threat it poses to the First Amendment. Commentators speculated that by dropping the charges, Sweden may actually be paving the way for Assange's extradition to the United States. What are you doing, Xander? The Australian journalist has repeatedly denied the allegations against him, which were first made in 2010. Although branded a criminal by Washington, Assange enjoys support from a broad international coalition of activists and civil liberties groups. One of the most vocal defenders, Pink Floyd frontman Roger Waters, recently told RT that Assange is being made an example of in hopes of deterring other journalists from pursuing the truth and challenging those in power. I think it's very disconcerting what has happened to Assange, to me, because I don't view him as a criminal at all. But then I didn't view Snowden that way either. Q changed my mind, but I don't see where Assange has done anything wrong other than be a journalist. So I don't know. If you guys disagree with that, please, by all means, challenge me in the comments politely. I can be wrong, and I also, with the correct information, can change my mind. So, okay, there is a cat attempting to chew a cord here, so that would be a catastrophe. So I'm going to just, there we go. All right, now going to just check over here to make sure we're still recording, because I've been having a problem with that lately. All right, we're all good to go. Let's go on. And this is something extremely interesting, if you haven't already seen it, and I hope you haven't. Or, well, I shouldn't say that. I hope you haven't. All right, now this is by Thomas Payne. It says, graphic warning, FBI interviews alleged boy rape victim of Bill Clinton, chilling details of sex assaults and satanic rituals on yacht. All right, this is what we're going to be getting into next. This is by True Pundit, by the way. That is the website that we are looking at right now. Child sex trafficking investigators from the FBI's New York field office have conducted an interview with a victim who provided chilling details about allegedly being raped by Bill Clinton on a yacht in New England when the victim was a young boy. We are treating him as a victim, an FBI official told True Pundit in New York City prior to the interview with the FBI. Top FBI officials arranged the interview with the victim, who said he was raped by Bill Clinton when he was just 8 years old. The interview was conducted by the FBI's task force that was established to investigate sexual assault and sex trafficking claims linked to Jeffrey Epstein and his associates. That task force, also attached to the NYPD, remains active, even though Epstein reportedly committed suicide in federal custody just weeks ago. We still have a job to do here, and that's what we're doing, one FBI official told this reporter. The interview and the allegations against Clinton are both detailed and disturbing. We have decided to publish the video of the victim's account in his own words, which contain explosive details of the alleged assault and much more. Again, his account is graphic. Nonetheless, both I and the federal agents with knowledge of the case believe the victim is credible. To the FBI's credit, the Bureau handled the victim with respect and dignity during the interview. I personally escorted the victim to the FBI headquarters in Manhattan. Even though I have been a massive critic of the FBI, I was impressed with the way they treated the victim, who is now in his mid-20s. Credit the FBI here for listening and investigating. But the road to this point was not without intrigue and tragedy. I originally interviewed the victim with journalist Jen Moore, who provided the details against Bill Clinton and other elite politicians to child trafficking specialists in DHS Department of Homeland Security and the FBI in July 2018. Moore, an advocate who investigated abuse and trafficked children, had been in the process of investigating allegations by the 26-year-old man that, as a young boy, he was sexually assaulted by Bill Clinton and pimped out at private sex parties attended by other D.C. elites. But Moore and the traumatized victim wanted to contact Homeland Security and the FBI first to see if they would open a criminal case against Clinton prior to publicizing the claims. 4 weeks after contacting the feds, Jen Moore was found dead in a D.C. hotel room. Moore died of an apparent seizure, though her death remains suspicious and the timing beyond disturbing. After Moore's death, the victim, fearful for his own life, decided to not go public with the interview. Now he is telling his story, and that is what he did for the FBI. While in New York City, the victim supplied intelligence to federal agents, including confirmation that he witnessed other children and people being sexually and physically abused, and worse, on numerous boat parties. The victims were attended by elite members of D.C. political class, according to the victim. Prior to Jen Moore's death, I had a discussion with her in July that we would simply publish the allegations against Clinton without tipping off the feds. The victim at that time agreed to use his full name and identity, and he said he believed he was prepared to handle any blowback. But Jen Moore said she wanted to work back channels and entice the feds to voluntarily interview the victim. She set out to do just that. See her video below, where she hauntingly describes her frustration with the feds just days before her death. I'm not sure how long these videos are. Let me see here. It's okay.
Okay, I have everybody asking me to start putting days on my videos so they can keep track. So I'm going to start doing that today. I don't know if I'll go back and number them or just start off with today being day one, and you can just think of all the other videos as precursors. But today, so day 1.1, doing a video. I'm arriving here in Washington, D.C. at the National Archives. I've been doing videos about how do you report child trafficking. So you guys have seen me do many videos going inside ICE, being sent to another city inside ICE where they allegedly have the child trafficking specialist, where you report this. I've gone inside dark rooms where I can't see anybody except somebody behind a window. I've given my name, I've given information, I've begged for somebody to call me, I've called the tip line, I know of another person that's contacted federal agencies. We do have several witnesses, victims, eyewitnesses ready to testify, and I just don't know how you do it anymore. So we try to do it all the right ways, and at some point, we just got to go forward and put this stuff out public. So we're discussing that now, how to put it out forward in a safe way for both us and for the victims. But it's pretty obvious that no one federally wants to contact us at this point, since we've jumped through all the hoops they've asked us to. And so names need to be named, and we're working on that right now, and also doing some other stuff. So this is the beautiful Navy Memorial. And I'm going to a meeting tonight to discuss some of this stuff, and we'll see what steps 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and the rest of them go from here, because we're not going to stand around anymore and wait. So there you go.
So that was recorded by her describing her frustration, but that was just days before she was found dead in her DC hotel room of suspicious circumstances. The ultimate plan was, if federal agents did not pursue or investigate the victim's allegations, we would publish the details, but we would wait to see what happened. Now this has come full circle. We return to my original strategy today, and we are doing just that. And instead of waiting for the FBI to take notice of the allegations, we marched right into the FBI. I hope Jen would be proud. The victim here deserves credit for allowing us to publish these details. Some details the victim provided have been withheld because they could impact any active investigations, but they could be published as the matters develop. Regardless, the victim's account remains beyond disturbing and provides a first-hand account into chilling details of satanic-like rituals surrounding the exploitation and sexual assaults of children. Once again, this is a warning of graphic content. The victim fears for his safety but believes working with the FBI has offered him protection. I hope he is right. Again, he does deserve credit for green-lighting the publication of this interview, and I personally hope it helps him accelerate his healing process. As journalists, we need to shine the light on such atrocities and stick our necks out when required, and that is what we are doing here today, as well as settling an old score for the late Jen Moore. Thomas Paine. Here is the video of the interview. Now, I would assume, okay, this is 32 minutes long. So it's quite obvious I'm not going to be able to play it for you. But there is a link, and I do upload the notes to Patreon. There is a link to this, and if you are not on Patreon, then you can find it on True Pundit. If you go to their website, I am sure you'll find it. It is graphic warning, FBI interviews alleged boy rape victim of Bill Clinton. So you can find it there and view the video for yourself. I have not viewed it yet. I am going to, but I have not had a chance to view it yet. I kind of have to be in that mindset before I view it. Things like that really affect me greatly. So anyway, I am planning on viewing that, and I will let you guys know, for you guys that don't feel up to watching it. I know not everybody can handle that, and those that have been sexually abused or raped get flashbacks and so forth when hearing things like that. So I totally get that. So anyway, all right, let's go back now and see what else we can get into here. This from a person called Prezi. CNN tells us, excuse me, I've got a very itchy back here. CNN tells us Vindman must be believed because he served in the U.S. military. Also served Jeffrey Dahmer, Timothy McVeigh, Gary Ridgway, Lee Harvey Oswald, Son of Sam, BTK Killer, DC Sniper, Cleveland Strangler. Thank you for your service. So, Vindman's trying to tell us that, well, because he served in the U.S. military, that he's a believable witness. But serving in the U.S. military, that's great, wonderful. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm taking off my socks. Rude, but hey, wherever you be, let your feet go free. So anyway, Yeah, look at all these people that also served in the U.S. Military. And I'm not saying that in any way to cast any dispersion on the U.S. military at all, but it doesn't mean that you're a wonderful human being just because you serve. I do thank the people that serve in the U.S. military. I think that it is very admirable, and there are absolutely stellar people in the U.S. military, but not every single person in the U.S. military or has served is a stellar human being, as is evidenced by this little, hall of shame here. All right, let's move on. Yes, and also, I'm not going to get into this because I've got so much stuff to say about the Pope, none of it good. He's moving us quickly towards the acceptance of a one world religion. He definitely is. I should do a program on that at some point, but now he's proposing making acts against the environment a sin. I guess you can just add things to the Bible whenever you feel like it when you're a pope. Yes, now, I'm sorry if you don't throw that can in a recycling bin, you're going to go to hell. I'm sorry. But that according to the Pope. But what can you say? I recycle, but it's not because I'm afraid of going to hell if I don't. I'm just saying. Okay, anyway, but I doubt the Pope even believes in hell. I don't know. It seems like this Pope doesn't believe in anything that is actually Christian. So I'm sorry if that offends anyone. I don't mean that to be a cast dispersion on Catholics as a whole, but I just don't have, I'm not impressed with this Pope at all. And most Christians aren't. So anyway, let's go here next. And I love this by Ben Garrison. Love this. Here's Trump coming into a room and clicking the light on and tapping his foot. He's got his hand on his hip there. As soon as he opens the door, they say, "Aha, we caught you." Who caught who? They've all got their hands in the Ukraine cookie jar. Pelosi, they're all spitting out cookie crumbs here as they talk, all pointing their finger towards Trump. Pelosi, Biden, Romney, and Kerry. Yes, and those cookies are in the shape of dollars. So I love Ben Garrison. I think he is very, very talented and brilliant, the stuff that he comes up with. So this says it all, doesn't it? Yep, they've all got their hands in the cookie jar, but they're all pointing to Trump. You accuse others of what you yourself are doing. That's, how the deep state rolls, right? Okay, well, let's go on to this. This should be good for a laugh. Hillary says she'd be a better president than Trump. Really, Hillary? Wow. In what lifetime? Maybe in her fantasy land where she lives, because they like her in her fantasy land. Hillary Clinton on a book tour with her daughter Chelsea thinks she could be a better president than Trump. Oh, really, Hillary? I think about the kind of president I would have been all the time, the twice failed presidential candidate told the BBC. I think about what I would have done, how obviously I would have been different, how I think I would have been a much better, more successful president. I don't know if there's ever been a more successful president than President Trump, who has done more for the American people than Trump. I don't know, but pretty sure that Hillary Clinton, the only thing that she could beat Trump in is, she's probably, okay, well, she definitely has killed more people than Trump has. I don't think Trump has probably ever killed anybody. But Hillary, well, the list just grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. Now, no, I don't think that she's getting her hands dirty. I think she's having it done. But Yeah, she's probably the most prolific killer of our time. So yeah, she'd be better at that than just about anybody. But at a president, no. Ms. Clinton said while she can't help but have regrets about the 2016 election, her focus now is on 2020 and addressing the clear and present danger of Mr. Trump's presidency. I think a lot about what's happening in our country, around the world, she said. I try to give the best advice that I can to the candidates who are running because my goal is to help retire the current incumbent. I think it is imperative that our country regain its leadership and its credibility, so I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen. Please go away, Hillary. Please. You know, I bet you we would pay you to go away. Really, how much would it take, Hillary? How much would it take? Because I'm betting that, we'd all pitch in a few bucks for that just to make you go away. All right. Hillary, your presidency would have kept the country in the malaise it was already in from 8 years of Obama. It could not have been better, and you were a terrible candidate. You are a liar and a cheat. She talks about the clear and present danger of the Trump presidency, this coming from a woman who destroyed federally subpoenaed evidence with her emails and devices, which any other person would have been handcuffed, perp-walked, and thrown in jail for. This coming from the woman who told the coal miners she was going to put them out of business. Trump saved their jobs and opened a new mine. This coming from a woman who paid a foreign spy, Christopher Steele, hundreds of thousands of dollars laundered through a political opposition group, Fusion GPS, so he could write a fake dossier on Trump so they could present it to a FISA judge and get a warrant to tap Trump's aide's phone. That is not only illegal, but it is Watergate on steroids. This coming from a woman who signed off selling 20% of our uranium to Russia for $145 million to her crooked foundation and then blamed Trump for Russian collusion. Uranium is used, among other things, for making nukes Russia could use against us. I seriously doubt you would have been a better president, Hillary. Trump would not have let 4 people die in Benghazi and tell the troops there to stand down. Does she honestly think she could create 6 million new jobs like Trump did by raising all the taxes she wanted to raise? Does she think she would have the lowest unemployment in history in all demographics like Trump is doing? Trump has brilliantly managed to unchain the economy from the ER to one of the strongest in the world again. The only benefit she would have brought as president would have been to her own bank account. The biggest beneficiary would have been to the Clinton Foundation at the expense of the security of the American people. Uranium won. Enough said. I doubt she would approve drilling in Anwar and the Keystone Pipeline like Trump did, thus making us energy independent for the first time in 75 years and keeping gas prices at the pump down. Plus, as a bonus, consider that she lost the presidency twice. One to a backbencher nobody from the Illinois Senate, and the second time to someone she considered totally beneath her, her 2016 campaign's communications chief, Philip Raines, when speaking with Fox News host Tucker Carlson, suggested the possibility of another Hillary Clinton run. She ran for president because she thought she would be the best president, Raines said. If she still thought that now, if she thought that she had the best odds of beating Donald Trump, I think she would think about it long and hard. People have had enough of the Clintons, even though Hillary says many, 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 many people want her to run again. Yeah, like what? The local barista down at Starbucks, or what? Who? The YMCA swim instructor? Who wants you to run, Hillary? Nobody. Maybe Soros and his ilk, but real Americans don't want you to run again, Hillary. I think they spoke loud and clear during the last election. They don't want you. Bye-bye, Hillary. Bye, Felicia. So, yeah, many people want her to run again. We want you to run, Hillary. Run hard and fast, as far away from us as you can get. Yes, we want you to run. Run, go. This is probably true. I'm sure the one-sided destroy Trump media who had orgasms over her and people who shouted to the sky when she lost would want her to run, but she is not good for the country. Hillary is and always shall be a power-mad woman out for herself, total control over others. Yeah. So that is it for that. But yeah, she thinks she's going to make a better president. I mean, Hitler would have made a better president than her. I'm just saying. This woman is a menace to society. Well, she is. Don't get me started. All right. Oh, yes. We have to look at this. We do. We must. So we will. Breaking: White House files lawsuit against Politico, accuses Schiff of leaking false information. Well, anything that puts Schiff in hot water. Senior counterterrorism White House official Kash Patel has filed a $25 million defamation lawsuit in Virginia court accusing Representative Adam Schiff of acting in concert with Politico by illegally leaking false information relating to the ongoing impeachment inquiry. The lawsuit was filed against Politico reporter Natasha Bertrand and publisher executive chairman Robert Albritton and accuses them of defaming Patel. And in an old Q post, Q said, watch, what is his name? What is his full name? Hang on here. Kash Patel. So, yeah, in an old Q post, I should have dug that up for you before I said that. But, yeah, Q said, watch Kash Patel. Interesting. Patel alleges defendants intentionally employed a scheme to artifice or to defame Kash with the intent to undermine the president's confidence in Kash and to further Schiff's impeachment inquisition. Defendants acted in concert with Schiff to accomplish an unlawful purpose through unlawful means without regard for Kash's rights and interests. He adds, defendants abandoned all journalistic integrity and violated their own code of ethics in order to further the conspiracy with Schiff. Defendants did not seek truth, report truth, minimize harm, act independently, and they most certainly were not transparent. Patel also accuses Politico of writing multiple false stories about him. The lawsuit states, between October 23, 2019 and November 8, 2019, the defendants, acting in concert with Schiff, made published and republished numerous false factual statements of or concerning Kash without privilege of any kind. On November 8, 2019, Schiff released the transcripts of Hill and Vindman's closed-door secret interviews conducted in the Capitol Visitor Center. The transcripts demonstrate that Politico, Bertrand, Schiff, and his staffers misled the public in the first and second Politico pieces and intentionally lied about the substance of Hill and Vindman's interviews. Politico, Bertrand, and Albritton knew that Schiff had a preconceived agenda that he was actively promoting. They knew about Schiff's extreme bias and hatred of President Trump. Significantly, they also knew that Schiff was a wholly unreliable source because of his penchant to tell lies and to mislead. Patel clearly denies the accusation made by Bertrand in the court documents. Defendants' reporting was categorically and knowingly false. At no time prior to October 30th, 2019, had Kash ever communicated with the president on any matters involving Ukraine. Kash never supplied any Ukraine materials to the president. Kash is proud of his record as a dedicated national security professional who is entrusted to handle our nation's most sensitive matters. At no time did Kash stray from his mission to protect the homeland in service to the president and the NSC. Check out what Breitbart reported. Patel is seeking the sum of about $25 million or more for the defamation he suffered and presumed damages and actual damages, including, but not limited to, insult, pain, embarrassment, humiliation, mental suffering, injury to his reputation, special damages costs, and other out-of-pocket expenses. He is demanding a trial by jury. The significance of this lawsuit's filing is that Bertrand's Politico story on Patel came based off of testimony provided behind closed doors to the Democrats' impeachment inquiry by Fiona Hill and Alexander Vindman. They both alleged, incorrectly, in their testimony that Patel had secret meetings with President Trump on Ukraine matters and provided the president with documents on Ukraine. But as Breitbart News has already reported, while these document impeachment witnesses, Hill and Vindman, may have testified in Schiff's private impeachment inquiry to that effect, it was not accurate. Patel has since publicly confirmed he has never spoken with the president about Ukraine. Politico's decision to print the false testimony of Hill and Vindman as fact, which Patel's lawsuit makes clear was in close coordination with Schiff and his team on Capitol Hill, could seriously cost the media outlet. Other media outlets that printed the inaccuracies could also end up on the chopping block as well. But for now, Patel is focused on Politico with the lawsuit. What are your thoughts? Well, I think it's all good. If they lied knowingly and Politico knowingly printed those lies in coordination with Schiff, then great. So, yeah. Let's come back here because there's more. There's always more. Now, I don't know what this is, so let me see what this is. Yes. Did you know in 1993, Trump sued Palm Beach County for $100 million so his club could allow Jews and blacks in? True story. This isn't the first time I'm hearing this. Yes, he did. He didn't like that they were excluded, so he sued Palm Beach County for $100 million. He doesn't take a paycheck, and he certainly didn't need the headache. So why did he run? To save America from the elite globalist scumbags. So you think you know the real Donald Trump? Did you know Donald Trump sheltered Jennifer Hudson rent-free after her family was murdered? Donald Trump sent $10,000 to hero bus driver Darnell Barton after seeing a news story about how he saved a woman from jumping off a bridge. Donald Trump gave the job of constructing Trump Tower to Barbara Ress, making her the first woman in history to build a skyscraper. Donald Trump paid to ensure a Mexican-American boy would graduate from college when he saw a news story about his terminally ill mom. Donald Trump dispatched his plane to fly a sick boy for special care when he heard no airline would accommodate his medical equipment. Here's what Trump does when no one is watching. And we can't even talk about what the rest of them do when nobody's watching. Yeah, thought that was very, very good. Let's come back here. I want to see. I might have to pick and choose a bit. Yes, this is extremely important right here. And we have to get to this. The protesters in Hong Kong are disappearing. Yes, they are. So, and it says new footage shows them being loaded onto a train. If they're not being detained locally, where are they shipping them to? Well, obviously the mainland. And what's going to happen to them there? They're not just going to let them go. Okay, we're here on the mainland. Everybody out. Everybody out of the pool. That's not going to happen. They're going to be detained. And they're not going to be detained in really good circumstances either. And they're probably not going to get out. So Hong Kong police arrested protesters and citizens. They were taken on the train and no one knows where they will go. Please save this video and repost to other social media. Our kids can't be disappeared. Now, imagine if you were a parent and you were watching this video and you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's my child. And you have no idea where they were taken to, how long they'll be detained, or if they'll even survive the detainment. This is, now I would play this. I mean, I would, turn up the volume, but there's nothing to play there. It's just a picture of them being loaded onto trains. And this is alarming. So let's go back because I think I have something more about this, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't think I am. Yes, let's go here. Now, all I've done here is put in Hong Kong protesters in the search filters to look, and there is all sorts of stuff to find. This is the spirit of Hong Kong. These lines of people are passing supplies to the protesters on the front lines, trying to get the police away from PolyU so the students trapped there can escape. It says, UN decries Hong Kong protesters of violence, calls for calm. Well, it's not the protesters really that are being violent. It is the police. And, they are protesting. They want their freedom. They don't want to belong to China because they've been free all this time. They belong to Britain and they were free. And at such a point, can't remember what year, they went back to the mainland China. So they belong to China, but they kind of went along with the two, the system letting Hong Kong kind of enjoy its freedom for a time, but no longer. And they're protesting. They don't want the type of surveillance and the type of, restrictions that are happening on the mainland. So I can understand. The university in Hong Kong has turned into a battleground. Several protesters have been arrested while running from the campus that is surrounded by police following violent and fiery overnight standoff. Let me see what else is down here. Universities had been sanctuaries for the young protesters at the core of the movement about preserving the city's autonomy from China. Now they have become battlegrounds against the police. So this is not good. And we're not seeing any of this on our news, are we? It's awful. And there's violence. Hong Kong police fired tear gas and rubber bullets at protesters who barricaded themselves in major university. Almost 40 people were wounded, some with chemical burns. Many say they are desperate. It is some of the biggest violence since protests started 6 months ago. But the thing is, they are now starting to use real bullets. They have shot people. And it says the U.S. Senate unanimously passed a bill backing Hong Kong protesters that would require annual reviews of the city's special status under U.S. law and sanction Chinese officials who undermine its fundamental freedoms and autonomy. So that's good. And look at this, a message from Hong Kong pro-democracy protesters: save us. And of course, these protesters were waving U.S. flags. They want freedom. And what symbolizes freedom? The United States. Yeah. And let me just see if there's anything else. Here's more protesting here. So it says they're trying to reach their PolyU mates who are trapped in the university. And And a group of Hong Kong protesters were arrested by police for throwing petrol bombs toward police officers from a high building roof. Like, what's going to happen to these guys? Well, as we can see, they were being loaded on trains. Nobody's heard from them. Maybe it wasn't these particular, I don't know. But so anyway, you can look through this stuff yourself. Just go to Twitter, put in Hong Kong protesters or whatever, and you will see all sorts of stuff that isn't being shown on our news at all. And look at that. Drone shots showed damage that a more than week-long violent protest at Hong Kong Polytechnic University caused. Radical protesters have taken over the campus, using it to make petrol bombs and other weapons while reducing the university to a pitiful state. See, that from China Daily. So you know that when it's China reporting, it's going to be, you know, slanted that the protesters are causing all the problems. Yeah, they've pretty much, you know, what was now a center of learning is now a field of debris. And here, more clashes. It's completely, it's ongoing. This is like happening a lot. And depending on who is reporting, you know, it's either pro-protesters or against protesters. I am pro-protesters because I would not want my rights and freedoms taken from me, and I would protest. And if violence was used against me, then I would, you know, protect myself. So I can't blame these guys, to tell you the truth. Now, some of them may be going a bit far. I don't know. I'm not there. But anyway. All right. Well, that is enough. You can get your fill and more of this by just going and looking on YouTube, because there are people reporting on it. Just take the ones from actual news sources with, you know, this much. I would rather see something posted by somebody that was actually there and reporting that they were there, rather than somebody that is trying to give us more propaganda. So let's come back here, see what else we have, because I want to make sure I cover the stuff that oh gosh, there's so much stuff here that I need to cover. All right, let's look at this. I think this is quite interesting. Come on. There we go. Now, this is, I think you'll find this interesting if you haven't seen it. This from the Oversight Committee Republicans, GOP Oversight. Welcome back to another day of Representative Adam Schiff's impeachment circus. Democrats can call it whatever they want. The American people see through this sham. Now, let's watch this. It's not very long, so.
Quid pro quo.
With a quid pro quo.
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 Quid pro quo. Quid pro quo.
For weeks, the Democrats have been calling it a quid pro quo. Now they're calling it bribery. It turns out that House Democrats did a focus group, literally a focus group like you have in a political campaign, and they presented a bunch of questions or a bunch of phrases to average Americans. This focus group, what sounds worse? Quid pro quo, extortion, bribery. The focus group said bribery, so now that's what the Democrats are calling it.
Bribery.
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 Is that the bribery?
Bribery.
Quid pro quo.
Quid pro quo.
So I think that that's very interesting, because they were calling it quid pro quo. Then they did a focus group and they asked them, well, which of these words sounds worse? And they said bribery. So then all of a sudden they changed it to bribery. You never hear them say quid pro quo anymore. It's all bribery. Just, it's ridiculous. I don't know. I don't even have the words to describe the Democrats anymore because it's beyond ridiculous at this point. All right. Hang on there. That is the video that I uploaded earlier. Now, let's listen to this. Okay, it says, update, it was in fact epic. The witness has testified that he does not know who the whistleblower is. You have said, even though no one believes you, you have said you don't know who the whistleblower is. So how is this outing the whistleblower? I mean, classic Jim Jordan. Gotta love the guy.
On call readout, certainly after the first call, there were probably half a dozen or more people that I read out. Those are people with the proper clearance and the need to know. In this case, because of the sensitivity of the call and Mr. Eisenberg told me not to speak to anybody else, I only read out, outside of the NSC, 2 individuals.
2 individuals.
Das Kent and one other person.
And you're not willing to tell us who that other individual is?
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. The gentleman suspend. Counsel.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask you to enforce the rule with regard to disclosure, with regard to the intelligence source.
Thank you, counsel. You know, as I indicated before, this committee will not be used to out the whistleblower. That same
Mr. Chairman,
necessity
can you
of
first
protecting
stop the time
whistleblower
so I don't lose the
will
time?
persist. You are recognized again, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chairman, I don't see how this is outing the whistleblower. The witness has testified in his deposition that he doesn't know who the whistleblower is. You have said, even though no one believes you, you have said you don't know who the whistleblower is. So how is this outing the whistleblower to find out who this individual is?
Mr. Jordan, this is your time for questioning. You can use it any way you like, but your question should be addressed to the
I'd like
witness,
to-
and your question should not be addressed to trying to out the whistleblower.
Well, okay. Colonel Vindman, there's another thing Mr. Morrison told us in his deposition. He said he was not concerned about the call.
So it's just, this whole impeachment thing is utterly asinine. It's unbelievable. And you can tell, I mean, the people that have intelligence in the room, such as Jim Jordan, get very, very frustrated. And I would too. I don't know. I don't think I could do it, to tell you the truth. I don't think, because I think I would just go stark raving mad. All right, let's go back here, just because we can. And I don't know what this is. I can't remember. Oh, yes. Oh, this isn't going to let me see it anyway. I don't think, but it says State Representative Poncho Nevarez faces drug charge after he lost cocaine at Austin Airport. Duh. Who would do that? Yeah, I think if I was carrying cocaine around, I'd make pretty sure that I didn't drop it anywhere. I'm just saying. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all that because I don't want to. Okay, so let me see here. Oh yes. Now this is from a week ago, and I've been meaning to bring it, and I haven't. So forgive me. But in case you haven't heard this, video: Epstein medical examiner drops autopsy bombshell. No DNA test conducted to confirm Epstein's identity. What? Are you kidding me? That is grossly negligent. I don't get it. The high-profile and decorated medical examiner who supervised the New York City autopsy of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein revealed in a shocking interview that no definitive DNA tests were performed on the disgraced sex trafficker during the autopsy or any time after the pedophile's reported prison cell suicide. And gee, I wonder why. Maybe because if they did do a DNA test, they would have found that it wasn't him. Maybe that's why. Dr. Michael Baden, the former New York City medical examiner hired by the Epstein family to oversee the autopsy, said in a new interview that no DNA test was performed on Epstein to confirm the identity of the Justice Department's highest profile suspect who died mysteriously in federal custody. Shockingly, Dr. Batten, who worked on hundreds of high-profile cases during a 5-decade medical career, added Epstein was brought there to the coroner's office from the prison and had been previously identified in the prison, Batten said during an exclusive interview. Now, if somebody switched the body in the prison, that's beyond our expertise. Wow. What did he say? Federal officials maintain Epstein was found dead in his Manhattan federal prison cell in New York City in August, a reported victim of suicide, but Dr. Batten revealed in a separate interview on Fox News just last week that Epstein's autopsy and body showed telltale signs of homicide, specifically homicidal strangulation, not suicide. Now, Dr. Batten reveals no DNA test was performed on Epstein, a potential homicide victim, to confirm the identity of body examined during the autopsy after being transported from a federal prison. Instead, Dr. Batten said Epstein's brother made visual identification of the body. Mark Epstein, the brother, is also who hired Dr. Batten to supervise the autopsy. The latest bombshell revelations in the mysterious Epstein death baffled veteran Justice Department officials. How can Attorney General Barr claim the FBI is conducting a thorough investigation of Epstein's death if there is no DNA test? One high-ranking FBI official said, if Epstein was murdered, how can you bring charges against anyone? A defense attorney is going to ask, can you prove the victim was Jeffrey Epstein? What test did you conduct to verify the identity? Dr. Batten said the feds and city officials took Mark Epstein's word that the body in the New York medical examiner's office was indeed his brother. Mark Epstein is Jeffrey's only next of kin and named in Epstein's will and presumably the primary beneficiary of Epstein's $578 million in assets protected by a family trust. The body was released to his custody. Excuse me, I don't know why, but ever since I've had this sinus infection, my nose is itchy. I just wish I could crawl up in there and just scratch. Anyway, I'll save you the visuals. The body was released to his custody. Meanwhile, Epstein's supposed remains were reportedly entombed by his brother in an unmarked stone crypt next to his parents in Florida. The names of his parents were removed from the granite crypt to protect the tombs from vandals. Epstein's autopsy results have not been released. Can't imagine why. This is absolutely outrageous, another top Justice Department official said about the failure to perform a DNA test. This is not a routine case where somebody died in their sleep. He was in federal holding in MCC. First, Epstein reportedly dies in federal custody, and now there is no medical proof that the autopsy was conducted on Epstein, and the body has been released. The bombshell DNA revelations by Dr. Batten is certain to create more additional troubling questions about Epstein's reported death in federal custody while he was awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges involving underage girls, was reportedly discovered dead in his cell on August 10th. Batten's disturbing DNA-related revelations about the Epstein autopsy were divulged during the interview with Crowdsource the Truth's Jason Goodman. A video of that interview is attached and a partial transcript is included herein, including the following exchanges. Goodman, I saw your reports where you were convinced that it was a homicide rather than a suicide, and I was curious if any testing had been done to the body with regards to DNA verification that it was, in fact, Jeffrey Epstein being autopsied. Dr. Batten, not that I'm aware of. He was identified by his brother as being Jeffrey Epstein. Goodman, so his brother looked at him and said, that's Jeffrey Epstein? Dr. Batten, that's correct. Goodman, but no DNA test was done? Dr. Batten, I don't know anything that the medical examiner did other than when I was there at the autopsy. I doubt that there were any DNA tests done. I don't know of any. I mean, usually if there's a direct identification of a descent, DNA isn't done. During the interview, Batten was questioned about the possibility that Jeffrey Epstein was removed from the prison as part of a staged death. I think that's preposterous, Batten said. However, Batten quickly noted, again, he believed there was no definitive test performed to confirm the body's identity during the autopsy. Shockingly, Batten said if Epstein's body was swapped out at the federal prison, the medical examiners wouldn't have known the difference. The alarming fact cuts to the heart of a much larger story, especially since it's been reported that Epstein did not die in his prison cell. To wit, if the feds are investigating Epstein's mysterious death in a federal prison, a simple DNA test would be an important and primary protocol. Yet no such tests were performed. Why? Dr. Baden, he looked like him. Epstein, the brother, identified him, but that's all I can say. As far as I know, the only way he was identified was by direct visualization. I doubt if they did DNA testing. It's standard practice that direct visualization is by far the most usual way of identifying the descendant. Occasionally, if questions come up, dental identification can be made. DNA identification can be made. Goodman, and of course you participating in the autopsy, you saw him there. His face looked exactly like photos of Epstein you've seen in the newspaper. Dr. Baden, that's correct. And also he was brought there from the prison and had been previously identified in the prison. Now, if somebody switched the body in the prison, that's beyond our expertise. Shocking, truly shocking. Where's the chain of custody? One FBI official asked. This is a federal investigation. A valid point. Where is the FBI? The FBI is investigating Epstein's prison death, but are we to believe the Bureau too failed to obtain a DNA sample from Epstein for analysis at the Federal Bureau of Investigation Laboratory, which routinely conducts analysis of forensic DNA cases as well as convicted offender samples? The Justice Department collects and warehouses DNA samples from persons who have been charged or convicted of certain crimes, especially like Epstein's previous crimes. Epstein was a registered sex offender. Excuse me. These convicted offender DNA samples are uploaded into the Combined DNA Index System, CODIS, and compared with DNA profiles generated from evidence collected from crime scenes and victims as part of routine criminal investigations. It appears the FBI dropped the ball here as well by not treating Epstein's body as evidence and securing a DNA sample prior to releasing the body. Perhaps Epstein used his political and intelligence connections to dodge the federal and state requirement in New York to submit to a DNA swab so his DNA could be warehoused and accessed in CODIS. That is a troubling possibility, but a likely reality given what we have learned about the Justice Department's handling of the ongoing Epstein scandals spanning decades. Do the feds even have a DNA sample from Epstein warehoused in CODIS? Perhaps this unveils yet another Justice Department-related Epstein scandal, because such evidence, when cross-referenced in CODIS, excuse me, losing my voice, could have linked Epstein to unsolved crimes, including sexual assault, sex trafficking, missing person probes, suspicious deaths, or other assorted schemes. If the feds failed to swab Epstein for his DNA, he could be linked to pending and unsolved cold cases, a protection racket beyond troubling. Meanwhile, New York City's chief medical examiner, Dr. Barbara Sampson, who Dr. Baden supervised, did not return calls for comment about her office's reported failure to conduct a DNA test on Epstein's body. In a boilerplate statement, Dr. Sampson defended her autopsy. Our investigation concluded that the cause of Mr. Epstein's death was suicide. We stand by that determination. We continue to share information around the medical investigation with Mr. Epstein's family, their representatives, and their pathology consultant. The original medical investigation was thorough and complete. There is no reason for a second medical investigation by our office, especially when the body is either buried or cremated, or walking around on a beach somewhere after dodging prosecution. Thorough autopsy rarely miss injuries consistent with homicidal strangulation. Moreover, the big and troubling question here is that this autopsy actually conducted on Epstein, or was the autopsy actually conducted on Epstein, and who can prove it? It appears no one can. No body, no evidence, no case. Case closed. Thomas Paine. Now, as you can hear, I'm losing my voice rapidly, and I'm also spitting coffee, or green tea rather, on myself. So I think I will call it a night here in terms of news videos. I am going to come back with the Q post. It will be a very, very short video, like probably not even 10 minutes. So anyway, I'm going to end this here. I do have more news, and if my voice would stand up to it, I would actually do a third news video, but it clearly will not. So I am going to call it a night. Wish you guys well, and hope to see you back for the Q post. It's still early. It's only 11:07. I mean, it's early for me. So anyway, you guys have a great night. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth, because Epstein clearly didn't kill himself.